Hey there, everybody. Your friend Sean here. Thank you for joining me today. If you have not already, please do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and share this with somebody, and we pray that it'll be a blessing to you. Because the first type of church that we're going to talk about today is one that a good Bible-believing, evangelistic-minded church can easily fall into, but the trap is it doesn't happen overnight. And that is our first church, a settled church. Now, on the surface, when I say that, you probably think, man, that sounds great, a settled church. They know what they believe. They're in what they should be. Yes and no. So a settled church is a church that has become so comfortable, probably with a previous reputation, blessings, revivals, meetings, moments, milestones that have happened 20, 30, maybe even 40 or 50 years ago in some cases. And unfortunately, I've ran into some settled churches that they think they're in a groove or that they're in their lane, when in all reality, they are in a rut. A settled church, they measure their success by their tradition and not transformation. So what I mean by that is they have a form and a fashion, but they have not seen somebody's life transformed. They have not seen somebody's life saved from the pits of hell and on fire for the glory of God in a long time. They protect their routines more than they pursue revival. So when revival happens, and I know there's many different avenues and aspects about revival, but let's just settle on this definition real quick. When God brings back to life in the believer's heart and in practice in their personal life, the things that were dead. Maybe you have a dead witness. Maybe your devotional life is dead. Maybe your faithfulness has grown cold and it's dead. It needs reviving, and you need to be back in the presence of God more and more and seek Him as hid treasure, like Solomon said in Proverbs. A settled church is more worried about the routine of everything. We always sing this song on this Sunday. We always sing this many songs to take up offerings. Sister so-and-so always sings one of these renditions. The preacher always preaches from this type of sermon. That is a settled church. They are satisfied with maintaining more than advancing. In other words, if you ask them about what God's done in their church, they gotta recollect 30, 40, 50 years ago when God did something back then. A settled church is a place that so many churches can easily fall into over generations and just over time of maybe they're discouraged from not seeing results. But I want to encourage you today, if you are in this type of church, a settled church that is more worried about routine than revival, their biggest blessings happened decades ago. And their biggest milestones, they haven't seen a soul saved in over a decade. They haven't seen a move of God that has really stirred up their routine, has broke them to see God in more of a light of His holiness, His righteousness. You can come out of that, but it takes some very deep searching, and it takes just admitting it. So their prayer meetings become optional in this case. Evangelism declines, as we said earlier. The last time someone was saved there was probably a decade or maybe 20 years ago in some cases. And spiritual passion fades. It becomes more about the nostalgia of it than the newness of seeking God afresh. They are not necessarily dead. They preach a good gospel. They preach out of the King James Bible. They have the right music and all these things. But they've simply become content. And they are on the cusp of death, and that is a risk you run with a settled church.